Okay, I'll go ahead and call to order the January 12th, 2021 meeting of the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability. We will start with a roll call. Anna Abernathy.
Here.
Jared Alexander.
Here.
Bronson Bass. Teresa Chakraborty. Samantha said she will not be attending tonight. She let me know ahead of time. Ethan Horvath. Jonna McGee. Najla Ratsong.
Here.
Nolan Hinden. Aaron Predmore. And Matt Flaherty.
Here.
Okie doke. So let's see. I don't believe we have a quorum right now. So we will move past bullet 3 on the agenda since we can't approve anything. And we'll go to public comment. If there is anyone from the public who is present who would like to speak, you can raise your hand using the Zoom feature or video feature, and we will let you have the floor for 3 minutes. Looks like Joseph Winnie.
Hello, is my audio on?
Yeah,
Okay.
You can go whenever you're ready, Joseph.
Great, thank you. I want to first wish everyone a Happy New Year and say that I'm excited for things to be resuming after the holidays. And congratulations to Matt Flaherty on your nomination to the commission. I'd also like to say thank you for the opportunity for the public engagement on the Climate Action Plan, and also to express my interest in joining the committee. I actually submitted an application back in November and haven't received any feedback. So I just wanted to know if there's anyone in particular that I could follow up with, or if there's a expected time when that position will be filled. Thanks.
I'll be covering some of the applications in my portion, so I can answer that question at that point in time. Was there anyone else that had their hand raised?
I'm not seeing anyone.
And I think we do have quorum now, Nolan, and 2 people joined, so we should have quorum if you wanted to go back to some of the rest of approval of the minutes, etc.
Oh, okay. So since we do have quorum now, we'll go back to bullet 3, which is the approval of agenda. I hope everyone has a copy of the agenda, and if there are are there any comments about the agenda? Any changes that someone would like made? And if not, can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
And agenda is approved. So jumping down to number 5, the report from chair. So kind of building off of what Lauren and Joseph just discussed, we are currently 2 members shy of a full commission. And then at the end of this month, there are several people that terms expire or end. So there is that situation right now. And also Our city council representative has changed from Dave Rollo to Councilmember Matt Flaherty. Matt, if you'd like to introduce yourself. I don't know how many people were still on the commission when you were on the commission.
Najla, yourself, Jana, I think that might be about it. Yeah, hello all. I did stop by the commission earlier in the year along with Councilmember Scambolari to kind of say hello and I think introduce ourselves or something as chairs of various council committees that interact with sustainability issues. Yeah, excited to be back on commission. Was on it in 2019 prior to joining the city council. As you all know, there's a council seat that serves on the commission, which had been Dave Rollo since the commission was created, as he was part of its creation. But we had a nice exchange about it, and he was happy for me to take over that role this year. And who knows, maybe somebody else will, or Dave again will be on in the future. So yeah, excited to pick up with the commission's work again and work with you all. And just a quick note on interviews, at least from the council side, interviews for commissions. It's always a bit of a scramble in January because all these terms are turning over, and we have committee assignments changing and different things like that, and a few things up in the air to where it can take us a little longer than one would hope to get all that sorted sometimes. But hopefully we'll for the seat, I think there's a vacancy and maybe some seats that are whose terms are up that the council will be looking at in the coming few weeks. And just on that point, for anybody whose term is expiring at the end of January, if you're interested in continuing, and you've probably covered this, but if you're interested in continuing serving on BCOS, make sure you have either filled out an application or otherwise indicated that with the mayor, if it's a mayoral seat, or the council's office and the clerk's office if a council seat. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, welcome back, Matt. So now we're moving on to report from ESD.
Okay, thank you, Matt and Joe. So just to follow up on that vacant seats, a lot of them that are, so there's 2 vacancies and then there's 4 people whose terms will expire, and that's Trisha, Ethan, Anna, and Joseph. I know that you all joined recently, so I would really encourage you to renew because you haven't served a full term. So the term that you sort of inherited or the seat you received, you haven't served for a full 2 years. So if you are not intending to continue to serve, please let me know so that we have an idea about that. And then I did send out some of the applications that we received for the 2 vacancies. A lot of strong applicants. Feel free to send me any comments that you might have, either privately or we can talk about it later in the agenda. The other thing that I had was that Joe had sent out and drafted a letter of support for the climate action plan. We haven't been able to vote on that the past 2 times, but I think we have quorum now. So any comments on that draft would be appreciated. And then the one piece of news I wanted to share, if I can share my screen, just 1 second. Is that I've been working with the Monroe County Solid Waste District to set up this site for compost and rain barrel sale between now and April. Last year, we had a lot of our Earth Day events canceled and people are home. So we thought it would be a great time for people to start composting. That's one of the big Sustainability Action Plan goals, is to reduce our amount of waste that we're producing. This is at discounted prices, and then we're going to have pickups both at the districts and at Switchyard on the 17th to the 24th. So I thought this was a great opportunity. Anyone that you know that is interested in starting to compost and doesn't have a barrel or wants to be collecting rain, there's a variety of options down here. So anything from a small bin to a large bin is available, and I'll send out the website as well afterwards. I thought this would be great as well if I know we have a waste management working group. Either we could record something in support of this and put it on social media, or this could just be an opportunity for you to reach out to other citizens of ways that they can continue to be mindful about their impact, even as everyone's stuck at home. So this is something I want to share with you. And was there any I'll stop sharing that right now. Was there any other feedback about the climate action plan letter of support or comments that anyone wanted to provide at this time?
I have one small comment about a change to be made to the allowing the developers to decide for themselves about parking, removing minimum parking requirements and allowing developers to decide and defend for themselves. I'm a little confused about what the benefit of that would be, since it seems like they would likely go in the direction of more rather than less, but that's a relatively minor complaint or whatever. And I can send that to you. We can discuss it more privately if you'd like.
Okay, yeah. I've had a couple of people reach out about the phrasing on that. I think the idea would be that not everyone needs the full parking capacity, but it is one of the more controversial comments. So I like your kitty. Was there anything else that would preclude anyone from saying that they want to support the letter? It would be intended to go with the plan when it goes to council. And I'm happy to continue to discuss it more if people don't feel comfortable voting. But I thought now that we have quorum, it might be a good opportunity.
So if there are no more, I mean, we could, so yeah, on the bullet 8 is kind of where I have set in the agenda to do the voting, so we can do the vote then.
Yeah, that's fine. Were there any other questions about CAP process, climate action plan process, or the rain barrel promotion, or just general questions about vacant seats or continuing on the commission that anyone had that I could help with?
Sorry, are we going to be voting on the new people to bring onto the commission today?
I was just seeking some feedback. It depends on who the mayor and council decides to interview.
Okay.
I usually make a recommendation, but because we have a large number of seats, I was wondering if there's anyone that stood out to you all that would be good in some of the working groups as well. So
yeah, I actually liked applications 5.
mhm.
Specifically, and I like applications 3 and 5 myself.
Okay. And
Yeah,
for sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say I would second application 3, 5, and I would add 2. Organic farmer, and also grew up in Bloomington and returned. So that was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do have any, I am going to follow up with Bronson. He hasn't been to a couple of meetings, so it's possible that we are able to have more applicants serve than just the 2 openings. But it is a priority for me to make sure to forward these to council so that we continue to have quorum. But thank you for looking through those. I appreciate that. Okay. I think we can move along in the agenda if anyone doesn't have anything else.
Okay, moving on to the working group updates. We'll start with waste reduction. So is there a member from the waste reduction working group that can give an update?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Abernathy, for those who I may not have met yet. And our only real update is that our first meeting of the year, first committee meeting, will be Tuesday, January 26th at 6 p.m. We just meet on the fourth Tuesday. So if there's anyone else on the commission who's interested in joining this committee, we are working on a few initiatives. We're working on a multifamily kind of recycling just audit. And then we're doing the same for restaurants, trying to find information on restaurants who offer sustainable and compostable takeout options. So we're kind of continuing work on that. We've taken a little bit of a pause, just given the new year and the kind of holiday break, but excited to pick that up. So if anyone would like to join, or if anyone just has insights, suggestions on kind of how to make progress there, we would love your help. So again, we'll be meeting this fourth Tuesday of the month.
All right, thank you, Anna. Now moving on to the Sustainable Business Working Group. Is there a member from that working group that can give an update? Seeing no takers, I'll move on to the Policies Working Group.
Hi, this is Trissa. So Ethan and I haven't had a chance to meet yet. We've emailed a little bit, but I wasn't sure, so I haven't seen him in the last two meetings if he's still in this commission. But we hope to, again, kind of return back to looking into Bloomington policies, at least since the new year has begun. But if anyone wants to join, feel free to join the Policies Working Group as well.
Can I ask what the Policies Working Group is charged with?
Yeah, well, so I'm also fairly new to it. I think Ethan was on it more originally, so he would have had more to say, or Joseph may add as well. But we basically kind of look into sort of the more sustainability related policies that are introduced specifically in City Council, but possibly by other commissions as well.
Would that be, sorry, I'll just keep asking questions if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that mostly with regard to new legislation versus looking back at policies that are in place, in our code now? Are you guys trying to keep an eye on what's, on the council's docket and weighing in when there's sustainability related things? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think it would also be cool to look back at current policies just to see if we can maybe add more to it or add improvements to it. But currently we've tried to look at upcoming legislation and new legislations that's introduced.
Got it. That's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah. But yes, no new updates in that regard. But if there is nobody to join, I think I'll just work on researching some upcoming policies on my own.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. So now we're going to go to Climate Action Plan. So as mentioned earlier in the meeting, if no one has any edits that they want to make to the letter as it is written, we can have a vote to what's the word? To endorse this letter that endorses the Climate Action Plan. We're going to do a double endorsing. So is there anyone who feels that we should not move forward with endorsing this letter? Or taking a vote on the letter, I suppose.
Would it be helpful for me to pull it up, Joe, or have most people read it?
That would probably be helpful, yeah.
Okay, one second. Okay, so for anyone that didn't have the opportunity, it's a letter to the Bloomington City Council, and it would be attached to the packet when the plan is slated for acceptance, and basically is on behalf of the commission. If we don't have full approval by all the members, you could sign individually as a commission member as well. So it is fairly short, but just states that the plan in itself is in alignment with the purpose of the commission, that the threat of climate change is urgent, and we've made these commitments to greenhouse gas reduction, and that basically we think as a commission it's a positive step. So if there's anything that anyone wanted to add, otherwise I think Joe will go to a vote, and then we can just have it undersigned.
Can I just ask, is the purpose of us supporting it in draft form because it's in draft form until the council approves it? Or why do we support it in draft form and not in the final form?
I mean, that's another option if want to wait to pass the letter until the next version is complete. We did receive a substantial number of comments from both the public and council. So really it was just to keep it moving forward in the process. But if it makes more sense, I mean, now that it's a December letter and passing it in January, we could also just table it until it's scheduled to go in front of council, if that's what makes more sense.
Do you have an idea, Lauren, how far in advance there would be a final draft prior to it coming to council? Because sometimes that's the difficulty with the timing of these things. There may not be a commission meeting in between, for instance.
Yeah, that was the main motivating factor to get it passed now. There's going to be a couple of weeks, but I'm not sure that the weeks will necessarily align with the BCO schedule. So it's a little bit up in the air right now as to when it will exactly get scheduled. But if there won't be like any substantial changes to the goals, and if people felt concerned about signing up before seeing the final version, I completely understand that.
I think I'm okay with it. I was just curious what the reasoning was behind that. Yeah.
Sure. Any other questions that I could help address? Okay, I will stop sharing and hand it back off to Joe.
Okay, so I suppose we'll go ahead and to take a vote then. This is the first time I think we've taken a vote while doing a remote meeting. So I suppose the best way to do this would just do a roll call vote.
That would work.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and go through the attendees. And then just respond with a yay or nay. Anna Abernathy?
Sorry, just to clarify, since I'm always first, yay is, yes, we were voting to support the endorsement of the draft. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so yay for me.
Jared Alexander?
It's a yay from me as well.
Trissa Chakraborty?
Yay for me.
Jonna McGee?
I'm so sorry. I forgot to unmute. Yay.
All righty. I vote yay. Naja? That's on?
Yay.
Nolan Hinden?
Yay.
Matt, I don't think you get a vote, do you?
I think I do.
Well, we can put you down as a yay.
Yay.
Or a nay if that's what you vote.
I'm a yay. That's fun. I usually just say yes. So, yay.
Okay, so that passes. We will submit the letter with the draft climate action plan when it is delivered to council.
Thank you, everyone.
So with that, I believe we are ready to move on to the first reading of Resolution 2021-01, resolution on housing first. Najla, I will go ahead and give the floor to you to introduce this resolution.
Thank you, Joe. Hi, everyone. I know some of you more than others on the commission, but just to introduce myself as regards this resolution, I have experienced homelessness myself in my life, and it had a profound effect on me and how I view how I view the world and how I view everything. And so, yeah, it definitely is a big part of my, I guess, my activism and wanting to be on this committee. So anyway, that's why I drew this resolution up. Because I see the continuing existence of voluntary homelessness, and that's defined by someone who, you know, wouldn't prefer to be sleeping outside. I think the continued existence of voluntary homelessness in Bloomington is fundamentally unsustainable, especially considering the policy, the advancements that have been made in policies regarding that area. So that's what I was trying to convey with this resolution, to kind of help draw a policy line in the sand for the city to say, here's where we would say you're being sustainable, and here's where we wouldn't. That's what I'm hoping this resolution will do. I was hoping to get approval from our commission to endorse the resolution, and as well, I was going to talk to the Accessibility Commission and Commission on Human Rights, and I am open to any of your feedback on if those are the right two commissions. If you know anyone on those commissions, I haven't reached out to them yet. I have also been in touch with Deb Meyerson, who's given me feedback, and I'm waiting on feedback from Forrest Gilmore. Okay, so do you want me to read it? I mean, everyone's had it emailed to them. I don't think I need to.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to read it in its entirety. So according to our bylaws, a resolution has to be presented at 2 meetings. And so this is the first reading, and then the vote will be taken on the second reading, which would be the February meeting, unless there is a 2/3 majority vote that we hold a vote on this resolution at this meeting. So that's just the way our bylaws are written. And since this would be the first reading, I think that gives people time to read this in its entirety and provide feedback before the next meeting.
Yeah, that timeline sounds really good to me, and that gives me time in that preceding month to contact other commissions as well. Because the resolution, the way I wrote it anyway, calls for the first deadline is 2022. So I think, you know, February is still okay to pass this resolution. Unless you guys think that it should be passed at this meeting, because one part of the resolution actually calls for immediate life-sustaining services to the unhoused residents. So that could be one reason why a case could be made that it should be a more urgent matter. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I was thinking the same thing, Najla,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't think of that before until just now. I went, oops, there's that temporary part that's kind of urgent.
Well, so in that scenario, then if someone wants to make a motion, we can pursue that. So I guess for right now, we'll go ahead and open up the floor for discussion.
Yeah, let's open it up for discussion for sure. Do we just want to go around? I think a really good, especially since there's not so many people here, just one by one, see what people have to say.
Yeah, we can do that. Maybe, so I guess I'll start at the top of the list again. Anna, do you have any comments?
Sure. Yeah, I was going to make one comment. First of all, I really appreciate the work that's been put into this, Najla. So thank you, and think this is a really important issue right now. One thing that I have actually just been confused on myself, that I think maybe someone who knows more about this current situation could clarify, is actually related to resolution number 4, which calls for immediate temporary services. I think there's been a lot of public discussion and confusion around this because representatives from the city have, I guess, suggested that there have been temporary services offered, but then they haven't been taken. And so maybe I guess that's just something that I'm unsure of. And so I'm wondering whether maybe adding more specifics or maybe clarification there, just because that has been something that I think has been confusing, at least for me. But I do think it's a really important issue. So I would just want to make sure that, that's it's clear what we're asking.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for that feedback. And I completely agree. In fact, that 4th resolution, I actually wasn't going to even write, and I was just going to wait till I talked to Forrest before I even write it. But then he was too busy to give me feedback before the meeting, and so I just put that down because I acknowledge that's probably not the best description of what needs to happen right now, and it's probably not the most up to date based on what's on the ground. So I do hope to get feedback, not just from Forrest, but from Mark Teller. He's the head of the Coalition on Homelessness. And so I think they're the two major, between Forrest and, Beacon and the Coalition. I think they're the two major on the ground stakeholders. And I was hoping to get both of their feedback on that specific part. Because I agree. We don't want to overreach and suggest something that's impossible. And on the other hand, we don't want to underdo it either and risk people's lives. So thank you.
Thanks. That sounds like a great plan. I appreciate that.
Jarrett, do you have any comments?
Yeah, so I just kind of want to echo Anna's comments. Thank you so much for writing this, Najla. My only point was also on number 4, just to give the unhoused people more agency, and just because the city provides services doesn't always mean that those services embrace the identity of the individuals experiencing homelessness. And that, I heard, was a big reason why some of the services weren't taken that were offered. So, but it seems like there's, Anna's comment already addressed that. But that was my only issue. I think that it looks great, and I would be in favor of, pulling it forward to vote on it tonight.
Thank you.
Let's see. Trissa had to leave. Jonna, do you have any comments?
I had a question. Just can you explain, even though it sounds pretty obvious and intuitive, exactly what housing first means, or what it would mean in a practical reality? Is it it's like I said, it sounds pretty intuitive, but if you could explain it a little bit more.
Sure. And I also really appreciated your feedback that you gave me on email about including the permanent supportive housing description. And I have added that into my newest copy.
Great.
But yeah, in general, housing first is more, it's kind of a philosophy of dealing with homelessness that says, that's based on science, that says that people, the best way to, help people achieve long-term housing stability is to simply provide them with a home unconditionally without requiring that they stop using drugs or stop having, if there are other behaviors. So the idea is basically that you can have a home with no conditions if you need that, unless you violate the lease. You know, no one's going to give you an apartment and let you violate the lease. Okay. And that's why any comprehensive so a housing first approach is a philosophy. And so normally a housing first program would have a variety of options to people, right? Because people have different needs. Some people just need help the rapid rehousing like we have here. Some people need, just temporary help paying the rent for a couple months, and then they just send them the money, right? Other people may need help finding an apartment. And then other people may need permanent supportive housing. So a big part of the success of a housing first program is a permanent supportive housing option, which I have included in there. And I actually added that to resolution number 3 also, or resolution number 2, where it specifies housing first. It says housing first, including a permanent supportive housing option. And that's because the kind of overriding consensus among experts in this area is that many of the people who work on the ground, and as we saw these reports from Jeremy Hogan, are that a majority of people who are falling through the cracks of this program have disabilities such as substance use disorder or other mental health or behavioral disorders that are preventing them from using these programs. And so a permanent supportive housing puts you in housing, no questions asked, for as long as you need it, and it provides you all those supportive services that you need. So yeah, I guess the idea of housing first is it's a philosophy. It was started in Europe and has slowly made its way to some of the more liberal big cities in the US. There's programs in Denver. I've got a list on here, right? There's like 6 programs listed in the US. Yeah, here we go. There's successful programs in Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, California, Denver, Colorado, Quincy, Massachusetts, New York City, New York, and Portland, Maine. And so it has been proven to be, successful in reaching its goals. And I think more importantly, to my thinking, is it treats people with dignity, specifically those people with disabilities who our society has mislabeled in the past as being responsible for their unhoused situation. And this policy is about correcting that past view, which was mistaken, and updating it to the science as we know it, to have our policies reflect that science.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very comprehensive. That's very helpful. That's all I.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to myself, the only comment that I will give on this is that strictly from the economic sustainability aspect of this, I have also seen the study that Najla has mentioned and read about the programs that in the long run, it will cost less to go with the housing first method. So so I support this resolution.
Yeah, here, it's quoted in here too on the citations in number 3. One study found an average cost savings on emergency services of $31,000 per person housed in a Housing First program over 2 years. Another study showed a Housing First program could cost $23,000 less per person per year than a shelter program. So yeah, those are actual studies that were done in 2016 from the National Alliance to End Homelessness.
Great. So Nolan, do you have any comments?
I apologize. I did not read this before coming to the meeting thoroughly, and I was just been skimming through it and listening to you all, and it sounds obviously very pertinent and important. I guess one question I have, just because I don't understand the process side of it, is what does it mean for a city commission to vote on a resolution? And what is the process afterwards? If we do that, I assume we're wanting to bring it to council at some point.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't understand the process. I think we're putting it forward to the council to vote on it. We don't actually vote on it. But Joseph, I'll let you explain.
So yeah, for my understanding of reading the bylaws, so when we vote on the resolution, it is a resolution of the commission, not a resolution that will go to city council. So when we sign this resolution, it is the voice of the commission. Because under the things that we are charged to do, it is make recommendations to the city, and through this resolution, we would be making a recommendation to the city council. Now, how exactly the resolution is delivered to city council, I'm not fully sure on that. It can be delivered via email, but it can also, myself or any member of the commission could attend the next city council meeting where there is a public forum or commission, because I think there is a section in every committee or city council meeting where they do open the floor to commissions. And during that section of the meeting, that's when this resolution could be delivered.
And also Dave Rollo said he'd be willing to help me figure this out. But then again, I haven't heard from him, so maybe he's too busy too. I'm not sure. But yeah, after we approve it as a commission, like I said, maybe before going to city council, depending on when the meeting dates are, I was going to talk to a couple other commissions. I thought the commissions on human rights and accessibility might be good to get on board. But I don't know, maybe that's not necessary. What would you say, Matt, as a city council member? Do you think that's helpful or necessary? Or Joe, what do you think is best strategically?
I'll defer to Matt first.
Is it my turn to say things or ask questions also, or do we have?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I know we're going down a list, so I can speak to a few of the things that we've talked to or talked about regarding a resolution and its effect. I think Joe's right that it would be sort of the official word of the commission, and presenting it to whomever you want to present it to is a good thing. It could just be email, but I would definitely encourage whether it's the chair or you as the drafter, Nejla, somebody from the commission, to come to a council regular session. Every regular session we have public comment and council comment, and also a time for reports from boards and commissions. In particular, best practice would be to email the council staff ahead of time and let them know that you're going to speak, and that way you'd just be on the agenda. And
okay,
if you had slides or anything like that, they would make you a meeting host, and if you needed to, and that sort of thing. So just getting in touch with us, in advance. Our packets go out on Fridays for the following Wednesday's regular session. So whenever a resolution is passed, just get in touch, and I'm happy to help coordinate that. And then I think that'd be the most effective way, and you reach the largest audience of people watching the meeting and that sort of thing. I would also encourage any resolution.
Could you just repeat what you said about what you do on Wednesday for Friday's regular session? I didn't catch that.
Our regular sessions are typically twice a month on Wednesdays, is when the meetings are. But the previous Friday, 5 days before that, is when the packets go out for those meetings. So just
the agenda.
Exactly, and supporting materials. So if you were going to want to attach the resolution, for instance, in the packet, like you'd want to be in touch with us at least 5 days in advance of the regular session you plan to come. So, you could just show up and read the resolution, and that'd be fine too. But it'd be, I think, more effective to, put it out there in written form.
Do you recommend putting together a presentation? Like what do most people do? Like a PowerPoint presentation or?
That's more typical for, maybe an annual report from a commission or something like that.
Okay.
So less common probably
I don't want to make
for a resolution.
Anyway.
Yeah, you certainly don't have to. A couple other thoughts on that front is I would definitely, if the commission passes a resolution, send it to the mayor and or relevant department heads as well. I mean, you're an advisory body. We're an advisory body to both the Common Council and the mayor and his staff. Additionally, putting it out on the social media channels or otherwise that the commission has is another avenue. I think it's a great idea to reach out to other commissions. I've actually just reached out to Ryan Shade, who I think is the chair of the Bloomington Human Rights Commission, earlier today about this very issue. And I know they've been talking with a few community folks about it. And so that's a good one and a good idea on the accessibility as well.
Could you give me the name of that person on the Human Rights Commission?
Yeah, it's RYNE. I think he pronounces it Ryan. And then Shade, SHADDAY. If you email me, Najla, I can share Ryan's contact. And the commissions themselves should all on their pages on the city website. It should all have a contact for the commission.
I know, yeah.
That's great.
For a personal rec, if possible.
I'm glad you're working out, reaching out to those folks too. I think there's an urgency here, that a lot of folks feel. So I appreciate the idea of passing it tonight, but then I think there's also maybe enough things that you're still wanting to look at in Angela that maybe it does make sense to wait a month, and tighten some things or refine some things based on feedback from the Bloomington Homeless Coalition, or Beacon Inc. or others. I fully support what you're doing though. I was happy to see this on the agenda. I'm glad you've put this work into this and reached out to the folks you have. And of course, we do have Housing First solutions in Bloomington, but really not enough. Crawford Homes are permanent supportive housing. Kinzer Flats is due to open early February, which is our newest permanent supportive housing option. And then we have various transitional housing options that are 1 to 2 year kind of time frame for folks in various specific circumstances. So I'm happy to chat a little bit more about that, Najla, via follow-up if you're interested.
Yeah, I'd love to have a separate follow-up.
Sure. And then finally, I'll just note that a couple of my colleagues and I are also looking at legislative options for the council on some pretty overlapping and related matters to this. So we'll probably have some things coming in the near future too that may be of interest for the commission to weigh in on. Whether or not as part of this resolution, I think, for instance, the policies committee that, was discussed earlier would be an appropriate avenue for the commission to take a look at those things as well. So I just wanted to highlight that. But yeah, I think this is great. Thank you very much for doing this.
Matt, once a commission brings a resolution to the council, I assume that's just a presentation at first and there's no action done that day. What is council's next action with something like that?
No official action. I mean, we would accept the report or the resolution, and thank you and hear what you had to say. It's really at that point up to individual council members and people who they would work with if they want to do anything about it. So, for instance, looking at some of the proposals here, trying to, implement a comprehensive housing first program to guarantee housing stability to all city residents by 2022. That would, take next steps of figuring out how to legislate that as policy. If it's something we wanted to legislate, who we need to work with, probably, the South Central Housing Network is the continuum of care body sanctioned by the state who works on these issues. So those would be the relevant folks to know, what our unhoused population looks like numbers wise.
I'm also meeting with them in a couple of days. I'm on their agenda, the South Central Housing Network. Yeah, I'm going to
Thursday
them and hopefully get their support. Yeah, on Thursday.
Lovely, me too.
Great.
That's fun. So yeah, it'd be, next steps, Nolan, and all would just be, there's nothing, it's an advisory, document essentially that you would be communicating to us. There's no binding or automatic follow-up, but I would say interested council members should work with y'all and try to take these things up and try to work on, more next steps in the policy realm of things we could develop and identifying what the gaps are, how big of an unfunded liability are we talking about if you commit to that, What type of resources would that take? We probably are talking pretty substantial resources. So yeah, it's a starting point for conversation and policy development, I would say.
Have we gotten everyone's initial comments on the document or the resolution?
Yeah, we did run through all the attendees.
Lauren?
Maybe.
Okay. Lauren, did you give your comments?
Oh, sorry, Lauren.
I just wanted to note in the chat that Anna had to leave early, but she wants to email. So I think it makes sense, perhaps, given that you're meeting with a lot of other people, to bring this and put this on next month's agenda, if that's all right.
I think you're all right. Yeah, definitely. And plus, I feel like you're right, Matt, that, and as you pointed out, Jarrett as well, and Anna, is that there's a lot going on the ground. And it's not like there's nothing happening. People are, certainly doing what they can with our current programs in place. And so really, I mean, to me, the real meat of this resolution is housing first, comprehensive program, like Matt said, by 2020. That's what I'm, really hoping to achieve. So I think, and plus, since that resolution 4, I honestly don't feel confident putting that forward without having talked to the people on the ground, as you guys mentioned. So I totally agree with that. Yeah, is there anyone else? I also wanted to get your guys' general feedback. Is there anyone else that you think that is an important stakeholder that should be included in the paragraph where Resolution 3 further urges the City of Bloomington to consult and cooperate with important community stakeholders, including Monroe County, Indiana University, Beacon Inc., Indiana Recovery Alliance, and others, as needed to allocate sufficient appropriations to secure needed supportive services and to rent, purchase, and or build sufficient housing in areas of the city that are found to be most conducive to the success of the residents in the program. So I was wondering if you all, my reasoning for having this paragraph is because when I taught sustainable business and social enterprise, I actually learned that the best way to have solutions like this in a community that are sustainable is to include all the major stakeholders, right, when you make it. And I included, Indiana University, for example, because first of all, they may have a lot of supportive services, right, especially psychological services and things like that their students may be able to offer. But also because because Indiana University is a major economic stakeholder of this community, and it's also a major economic stakeholder in real estate per se, specifically. So I wanted to ask you guys what you all thought of having that paragraph where I thought it might help the city to give them like a short list of like, here's the people you should definitely talk to. I don't know what you all thought of that. Is anyone missing from that list, or is that unnecessary? Matt, what do you think?
I would definitely include it. I think it's useful sometimes to call out the different governmental entities too. So you could specify the Bloomington Common Council and, mayor, the Bloomington mayor.
Is the Bloomington Common Council different than the City Council?
Nope, that's just our official name. City Council is sort of informal.
Oh, it's called the Common Council?
Yep, the Bloomington Common Council.
And then the mayor's office?
Yeah, you could just say the mayor of Bloomington.
The mayor of Bloomington.
Yeah, for Monroe County, that'd be the county commissioners and the county council.
Okay, and so I should say the county commissioners and county council.
And then finally, I would definitely include, or not finally, but I would include the Monroe County Trustees Association. So the township trustees, I think they go by Monroe County Trustees Association in aggregate. There's like
they do a lot with housing. Yeah.
Their purview and their funding goes entirely to support for people in experiencing various effects of poverty. So they do a lot of rental support. They do a lot of helping people find.
As a landlord, I am aware of that.
Yep. So they're definitely folks that need to be at the table. That's their entire
Yeah,
job and
thank you.
purview. And I would also include IU Health and or maybe some of the foundations even that are related, because there's an interesting point here that you and Joe highlighted, which I think is well borne out in the research, that it's generally lower cost to house people first, but there's a bit of like a principal agent issue where the cost savings might go to, IU Health or Monroe County government, whereas the expenditures might come from the city of Bloomington or something. So
Right.
where those benefits come, it like is another reason why it's really important to have like all these different angles and stakeholders like communicating, so that if we're lowering strains on IU Health, say by providing more safety and security for people, maybe they can help pay in, to effort. So
you suggest to add?
What's that?
Which you said IU Health and foundations.
So there's.
Tell me the IU Foundation. Do you?
You could just stick with IU Health. Some of the large funders is what I was thinking, basically. So the Community Foundation, I think there's like an IU Foundation and IU Health Foundation. There's like I would have to think about it a little more. I can't rattle those offhand, but
right. But that's a good start. So you think it's worth mentioning IU Health separately from IU? Are they they are, I mean, different?
They're wholly different. Yep. They share a name, and that's.
Oh, really? They just like rented the name? Ew.
More or less. They are wholly separate entities. I mean, they obviously work together, but they're.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you don't want to go down the foundations route.
That's good to know, though. Yeah. Okay, thanks so much.
IU Health, I think, at least is good. And yeah, that's.
And I'll add Community Foundation. Okay, great. What do you think about adding, is there like a real estate association in Bloomington? I should know and be on it. Like, don't you think they're an important stakeholder in this conversation?
There's an apartment association, for sure.
What?
There's an apartment association.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I should know it as a landlord, but I don't. Apartment association. Is that like an informal thing, or is that run by the city?
It's not run by the city, but they have a board, so.
Okay.
Not every.
I'll reach out to them.
Complex is represented or management company, but it's quite a few of them.
Okay, great. I'll reach out to them.
There's also the Bloomington Board of Realtors, is the real estate
entity. Yeah.
And they similarly, so they're a board. The apartment association in particular is really intriguing, because one of the issues that I know I've talked to Forrest about, and you hear, is that landlords are allowed to discriminate based on income source and income. It's not illegal. And in fact, we can't prohibit that discrimination locally. We've been preempted by the state on that. So vouchers or guaranteed payment for rent through the trustees, for instance, and they can't find. It's a really big problem, actually. Is from my understanding. So getting the apartment association really, be inclusive in source of income would be a really significant piece.
If necessary, I suppose that means the city would have to, if they couldn't get enough local landlords to voluntarily take part in the housing, they would have to find housing somewhere else in the city, right? Either purchase it for this purpose or build some, which is, Anyway, thank you guys for all your feedback. Is there anything else at all? I'm sorry the citations aren't better organized, but I just tried to tried to make them legible and readable. I'm sure they violate every rule of citations. I apologize for that. Anything else to add? Okay. All right. Well, I'll plan to meet with you, Matt, afterwards to discuss more, and work with you, Joe and Matt, to get this. And then we'll be able to vote on it next month.
Yeah, we can put it on the agenda for
Thanks,
second reading
everyone.
for the February. Yep. Moving to item 10 is officer elections. So currently, we have 2 of the 4 officer positions filled. It's myself as chair and Najla as vice chair. We are vacant in the treasurer and secretary. So the plan was to have, or is to have, officer elections tonight. But I would like to make a motion to postpone this to February. And my reasoning is there's several, I think 4 members that their participation in this commission isn't confirmed for after this month. So if they would like to run for an office, we as a commission, I mean, that's including myself, we need to know that they are going to be on the commission for the remainder of the year.
I second your motion, Joe.
I don't think you have quorum because 2 people have dropped off, so we might have to move it to February anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it easier.
What's quorum again for this commission? Is it 7? What do you need?
I think if we were fully, if we were a full commission, it would be 7.
I don't know how it's defined in the bylaws, because you can define it to not be a majority, of course, you know, if the commission's not full, for instance.
Yeah, in the bylaws, it's a majority of the commissioners. So since we're vacant 2 commissioners, that puts us at 12. So we need 6 to 7, I suppose, 7 to have the majority. So yeah, let me just do a quick count where we're at right now.
So Matt's a voting member and I'm a voting member as a county appointee. And Lauren, are you a voting member or are you not? All right.
I am not a voting member.
Joe, did the bylaws call for officer elections annually in January or something?
So no, actually the bylaws call for elections in the quote unquote annual meeting that occurs in August, I believe, or no, July. In February, if the elections happen in February, another motion I'd like to make, and this would require a 2/3 majority vote to amend the bylaws, is to move officer elections to February of the year, considering all, as it stands right now, all commissions' terms end at January. I'm actually mirroring the Environmental Commission. They just motioned to do this as well.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
What was that, Donna?
I just said I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, great,
Yeah.
great.
Shall we
Is
vote
there
on your
anyone
motion?
who-
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I guess I'm trying to think here, do we still have quorum to do a motion, is what I'm thinking.
I think for running a meeting, for the purpose of running a meeting, I don't know, actually. Certainly you couldn't have official actions like a resolution or something. I wonder for the purposes of how to run the meeting.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just put it this way. If there's anyone who disagrees with holding elections in February, please speak up and you can have the floor. And I do not see any takers. So February, we will have elections. Moving to then the 11th bullet, any new business. So this is where I'll give the floor to any commissioner with any new business they'd like to bring forward for the rest of us to be aware of. So with that being said, is there any commissioner who would like to present new business or topics? I don't see any takers on that. Okay, well, with that being the last bullet on the agenda, our next scheduled meeting is on Tuesday, February 9th, from 6 to 7:30, probably via Zoom again. And with that, I will motion for adjournment.
Second.
And we have a second. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. It was a great meeting tonight.